Disability Matters.
I'm your host, Richard Acritelli, and on this podcast that is a production of the Holocaust Memorial and Tolerance Center of Nassau County, are today's episode of The Fog of War and Humanity here on HMTV. My special guest is Donna Zephrine. She will speak with me about her experiences in the United States military during the War on Terror. Let's get started. It's great to have you here on this snowy day.
Thank you for having me.
And tell me a little bit about where you grew up.
I grew up in Bayshore, and I went to Brentwood High School, from 1st to 12th grade. During high school, I joined the Air Force Junior JROTC program. I did that for 4 years, and I graduated. And then after that, I didn't want to go to, I had a desire to go in the military, but not right away. I wanted to go to college at first. That was my main goal.
Now, what were things that you did as hobbies? Did you play any sports? Were you involved in the school band, plays?
In high school, I was in the student council treasurer.
Okay.
I was in National Honor Society. I did the senior class. I was just a member of that. I had helped out with the Handicap bowling every week for the Brentwood JROTC program, and
that's a big thing now.
Yeah.
They had the Handicap bowling, basketball. They have different events. They call it unified sports. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's a very good thing.
Yeah, I was in charge of that through the JROTC program. And then after that, they had their annual Special Olympics game. It's held at a school every year at a public school district. So I used to participate in that as well.
What did you find that was important out of working with the Special Olympics and disabilities that were most likely from your area and your community?
My area and community, and also in the school district, I was a special ed student. I had some learning disabilities, and I was in the resource room getting help one period a day. But I got declassified at the end of 8th grade. But at the end of 8th grade, even though I was declassified officially, the teachers were still giving me accommodations, reasonable accommodations.
All right. So
I was an overachiever.
Overachiever?
Yeah.
So was that necessarily a bad thing for you because it kind of harnessed your work ethic, right?
Not really. I tried to work hard, and I was fortunate at the Brentwood School District, because the Brentwood School District is one of the largest school districts in Long Island, and Sachem School District. And I was fortunate to have,
if not the state, right?
Yeah, the late superintendent of schools, Frank A. Moore. He was a great mentor for me. He had picked me twice for the celebration of success, because in the school district when I was going, they had either a high school teacher or administrator that picked a student that they thought stand out, and he had picked me 2 years in a row.
Which is an honor because it's such a huge district.
Yeah.
So many kids, right?
Yeah. And he wrote a recommendation for me to go to college. And,
nice. Yeah. So I know those are things you always remember.
Right. I had attended SUNY Farmingdale for my associate's degree. And I had to go through reasonable accommodations. And it was a long process because I had got declassified. And sometimes when you get declassified from special education, it's hard. I didn't know until after that it's hard to get reclassified, especially when you go into college level, because the types of services and the rules are totally different.
Yeah.
So that was a learning experience for myself as well as the school district.
And there's a little bit more of an onus on the student, right?
Right.
So now you have a military background. Did you have any family members or friends that were in the service?
I had an uncle, because my parents were from Trinidad. He served in the army in Trinidad. When I was young, I saw pictures of him. I never met him, but he kind of inspired me. When you have
Sure. Have you ever gone back to Trinidad?
I went to Trinidad, but the time when I went there, he was on tour away. But I was fortunate enough to visit his base where he stayed.
Now, from your experiences in the service, where did it differ a little bit from, what did I say, the Trinidadian military?
Military.
Is that the right way to say it? So where was there some differences that you noticed?
Some differences? Well, I know, I was told that when they serve, it's similar, I think, they give them a home. I'm not sure as far as payment and stuff. But I know like they get like honorable stuff, like similar. I'm not too certain because at that time the West Indies was underneath the British, but Trinidad is independent.
Sure.
So I don't know many, and then I have family also in Grenada.
Okay.
Yeah. I know they had the big invasion back in Ronald Reagan era.
Yeah. You had some of the Cuban soldiers there, and for Reagan that was almost like a warm up to get American soldiers back into a little bit of training, a little bit of exercises and stuff like that.
I believe that thing was called Operation Fairy Agent.
Okay.
I think that was the term they used.
Have you been to Grenada?
I went to Grenada back in 2009 because I have family there.
Beautiful place.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Trinidad too.
Yeah, Trinidad too. And a lot of them, I have cousins like also that live in England and in the United States as well.
When you go to Trinidad, what type of food do you like over there?
I like the West Indian food, like the curry chicken.
Yeah.
Roti.
Was that jerk chicken? Am I saying that right?
Well, they have jerk chicken too, but I like the curry chicken, the curry mango, the dal, all that. And it's a little bit different from the food from India, but I have ancestries because my mom is half Indian, so I like the Indian, learning about the Indian culture and stuff like that.
Okay.
Even though they grew up Christian, because
sure.
my grandfather was Hindu, but they were raised Christian.
So you go from let's call that Southwest Asia, right?
Well, Eastern Indian.
Which is in India, right? India, and then you're South American, Caribbean, right?
Well, I don't know if it's South America, but I know it's
Trinidad, right?
Yeah, Trinidad. Because Trinidad is next to Venezuela.
Yeah. So South America there. So
yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so you have a lot of different cultural, right?
It's a mixed country. It has different nationalities. They have Caucasian, Spanish, Chinese, everything.
And it's not a very large place, right?
Well, Trinidad is big. Not as big. It's bigger than Grenada. Grenada's a small country.
Yeah.
Jamaica is huge.
Yeah. All right. So now, what year do you graduate high school?
I graduated in class of 1992.
Okay. So where do you go after you graduate from high school?
After high school, I went to SUNY Farmingdale. I took courses there. It took me a little longer to achieve my goal to get my associate because I have certain learning disabilities. And after that...
What did you major in over there?
I took liberal arts.
Okay. So a little of everything?
Yeah, liberal arts. And then I was talking to a recruiter and I wanted to join the military at that time. So I thought of joining the Army Reserve, 1 week in a month and then 2 weeks out of the summer. Sure, yeah. And I could also continue with my education. So like after when I graduated with my associate's degree, that same month of May of 1997, I had joined the military. I went to basic training in Fort Jackson, South Carolina. But prior to that, the recruiter gave me a delayed entry program.
What year was that?
I had joined the Armed Forces in September of 1996.
96.
But they gave me a delayed entry program contract. Good. And when I graduated in May, within that same month, I went to basic training in Fort Jackson, South Carolina.
So what would you say was like your first encounters, your first experiences down in Fort Jackson?
It was nice, different. I mean, the basic training, the drill started to like hardcore, and at the time it was rough, but like when you look back at it, some of them like comedians, Yeah,
because you look back when
fast pace,
Yeah, sure, because you're young and you don't always know, right? And it's different. I had done almost the same thing as you. I had gone to college, but before that, I took a year off between high school and college. I went into the reserve, and I was a truck driver, and I was down in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri.
Army,
then,
right?
Yeah, Army, and then out of the reserves out of Fort Totten in Bayside, Queens. So the GI Bill wasn't that great at that time because it was kind of like take it or leave it, right? The Cold War was over. Yeah. It wasn't quite as strong as what the students are getting today. Yeah. Well, but it was good to get, though.
Yeah.
It was
when I had joined, it was like the Montgomery GI Bill.
Yeah, the Montgomery GI Bill.
And stuff.
So now, what were some of the things that you recalled from basic training? Some lessons that might have stayed with you?
Lesson that I think, respect of others. I know we had like the bay and bay not training, going into the gas chamber.
Yeah.
That was a thing.
You never forget that, right?
Never forget that, because you have to say your social security number, your name, your rank, and then they take the tear gas, and they want to see how you react under peer pressure. And also the other one was when you had to throw the grenade. That was a little bit scary. I mean, different. And then weapons qualification.
Weapons quals too.
That was important.
And did it help you coming from Long Island and having a very diverse background in dealing with other people from different parts of the country?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Because Long Island's such a melting pot, right? Yeah. Different religions, ethnic groups, race, economic background, and so on, right? Right? You're able to talk to a lot more.
Right.
A lot more people.
Correct. Yeah.
You kind of understand where they're coming from a little bit, and so on, right?
Right.
So, and I'm sure they got a kick out of you being from Long Island, New York, right?
Right.
And,
They first thing when they heard I was from Long Island, New York, they thought that I was wealthy.
yeah.
That's the impression
They thought the same thing with me.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. They were correct.
Oh.
I was from Long Island. I wasn't wealthy, So,
Yeah.
but all right. So now you graduate.
Yeah.
What was the biggest thing that you were proud about in terms of graduating from basic?
That I completed it. It was hard. It wasn't easy, but I completed it because I know what I learned also when we got there in basic training. As soon as you get there, you get some people who want to leave right away. You know, like the first week they want to get out, but you know it's not just like you can just pick up and leave.
Sure.
You know,
People, you're in the service for a while and you have different experiences. They forget. You go through basic, you're a kid. You don't know as much as you think you know.
Right.
You're away from home. And, those drill instructors they kind of, they know how to get to you a little bit,
Right.
And what are they doing? They're breaking you down and building you up the
Right.
way they want to see you, right? So what was the one thing that you still take from the service today that you learned?
and what did I learn from the military? Discipline.
Discipline itself.
Yeah, a little bit of structure.
Okay. And the ability to keep on going.
Keep on going.
Keep
Try
on
not
going.
to give up. It might be difficult, but not to give up.
Okay. It doesn't always have to look pretty, right?
Yeah.
All right. So now you graduate from Fort Jackson, 1996.
1996 I enlisted in the
Okay.
reserve, and then I went on basic training in 1997. of May.
97. All right.
I was a mechanic, 63 Bravo.
Okay.
I did 10 weeks in basic training there.
Where did they send you for 63 Bravo?
The same Fort Jackson. South
At
Carolina.
Jackson. So
Yeah,
what, did you
everything.
just move like a mile or two away?
Yeah.
All right. And what kind of mechanic did you become? A general mechanic? Did you specialize?
Lightweight vehicle mechanic. So I worked on Humvees, tractor trailers, 915 trucks.
All right. I drove all those at that time there. So that was kind of at the crossroads because you're at the end of the Cold War.
Right.
And then 10 years later, after they realized, I guess, in terms of all the explosions out on the roads, right, in Afghanistan and Iraq, that they kind of changed some of
Right.
those vehicles,
Of course.
right?
Obama.
Yeah. So now, what was the big thing that you took from AIT?
AIT, what I took away from it?
Because now you're doing something that's specialized, right?
Yeah, specialized, which is nice. I wanted to do additional training, but I didn't have it in my contract. I know someone else was doing something else additional to mechanic, but at the time I didn't. At that time I wasn't interested. But after the fact, when I got back to my reserve unit, I said I wish I should have done it. I forgot the name of it. But what I take away from it, as far as being a female, learning about a little bit more about mechanics,
That you can do the job. And,
somewhat. Yeah, it wasn't what I expected, but it was good to get the exposure.
all right. What was something that was hard for you?
What was hard for me? I would say something like was do engine, helping to
Learning how the engine functions.
engine
and-
functions like that.
All right. So now you graduate, right? You're a mechanic.
Right.
Now, where do you go after that?
I was assigned to 320th Chemical Unit in Jamaica, Queens, on Gouth's Avenue. But prior to going,
Is that over there near St. John's?
Yeah, St. John's University. But the unit doesn't exist there anymore. They had moved, relocated. But
You used to be able to see them from the parkway over there, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
But prior to going to basic training, my reserve recruiter told me that I could go 1 week in a month. When I was in the data entry program, I did that. I used to go 1 week in a month. when I wasn't a soldier. But the only thing wasn't allowed
Did they give
to
you the time for that?
They gave me the time.
Good.
But the only thing, if they had to do field training, I couldn't go because I didn't graduate from basic training.
Yeah,
right,
you weren't qualified yet.
Right. So after I came back, I was fortunate enough to meet some of the people like the sergeants, the NCOs, and the first sergeant prior to going to basic training.
Did the delayed entry program help you in terms of getting you a little bit more prepared for basic?
I would say
and then
more
AI
prepared because some of the soldiers I spoke to, and they told me what to expect as well. But, they could tell you one thing, but then you have to go and experience yourself.
Yeah, sure. Me, they signed me up and then forgot about me for about 2 months.
Really?
So I didn't know any better. So I got in phenomenal physical shape. I was like Forrest Gump. Remember they say about Forrest Gump? Ah, it's just a local idiot, running around, right? Well, that was me in unbelievable physical shape. But they didn't bring me to like the Kerry P. Heim Center in Shoreham or, to West Hampton Beach,
No?
So I remember learning all that stuff when we got down there. And I said, you guys are quick learners. They just taught us this here. Like, no, we were doing this at drill for a couple of months, shining boots, making their beds, folding their clothes, taking apart a rifle, right? Saluting, stuff like that. It doesn't seem like a big deal, but it is because they're teaching you so much in a short period of time, So I was like a little behind the 8 ball and thinking about what you have gone through. I would have done that hands down, going somewhere one weekend, for a couple hours here and there to be able to get myself better prepared for what was ahead of me.
Right.
And I always tell my students in school, you have to go to drill. You have to go here. You have to go there. You have to be able to pick up these things because it's going to help you out, you know? So, all right. So you go to the Reserve Center. Do you know, what their history was? Were they in the first Gulf War?
So, some of them were in the Gulf War. I remember that. And
what did you learn from them? What were certain things that they might have spoken to you about?
They just spoke about that Desert Storm when they went in. It wasn't like a long war as they expected.
That they were out in the desert for about 7 or 8 months, right?
Yeah.
And what did they tell you where they were overseas? Did they go
Kuwait,
into Iraq and Kuwait?
So Saudi Arabia, I think.
Yeah. So they staged in Saudi Arabia, right, for Desert Shield and then Desert Storm, right? So you had some very good mentors there, right, that tried to keep you sharp.
Right. Some just stayed in reserve. Some were active duty and came out and went in reserve the rest of the years to finish out.
Now, did you realize, the reserves, it's not always easy, right?
It's not always easy because you're doing 1 week in a month and then 2 weeks out of summer, which we did basic stuff like training we did in Fort Dix, New Jersey.
Sure.
That used to be the active duty post at one point. But certain units go, when they do the 2 weeks training, they go like abroad, like Germany.
Sure.
But I never went abroad overseas at that time. And,
Now, when you went down to Fort Dix, what were things that you did down there? You worked in the motor pool down there?
We worked in the motor pool. We did training in the field, which was all right. But, some stuff we had, quite a bit of downtime as well.
Yeah. I, being a truck driver, 88 Mike, the mechanics always had the trucks with the little cubby holes. Mm-hmm. And they had barbecues and coolers and stuff that those guys were so prepared. And they were the best cooks. Yeah. They had the little grills and they'd cook some chicken and steak and hot dogs and hamburgers. And they were good guys. They were pretty funny, very handy, and so on. So, all right. So now as you're in the service, what were you doing on the civilian side of your job?
Well, at that time I had applied to SUNY or Westbury. When I came back in October of 97, I applied to Westbury. I think I applied before. But anyway, when I came back, I resumed my studies in January of 1998 at SUNY Westbury. I majored in marketing, which was good. And I attended my 1 week in a month drills. And at that time, I worked as a college work study student at the financial aid department and also at the athletics department. And I worked also part-time as a waitress at that time it was a Huntington Townhouse. I did that to make a little ends meet money.
Sure, yeah, hustle, right?
Yeah, for undergraduate, which was all right.
Good. So now Was it difficult to juggle? You're working a couple jobs, college.
Yeah, it was a little bit difficult that time, and also at that time I had found out while I was in basic. No, it was during AIT. My sister, my mom they didn't want to alarm me, to worry me. At that time, my father had cancer, and he was going through chemotherapy and stuff, but he had colon cancer. But when he found out, it was stage 4, so we had our hopes up high that he would be able to come through. But usually when you're at stage 4, that's at the end.
Yeah, it gets very serious.
So when I came back home in October, he was doing all right, things moving around. But then after he had passed away in March,
March of
1998. I had started school in January 1998 at SUNY Westbury. He passed away in March of 1998. So it was kind of rough.
Never easy losing a family member to cancer, right? And that's something that just affects us all, right? I mean, every family, there's no, it doesn't discriminate. It goes against everybody, And I've had family members with cancer, and it's a very difficult thing that hits home. Right. So, all right. So now as you're moving in towards like 2000, 2001, you're in the service, you're working, right? You're hustling.
Right.
Where were you?
Actually, at that time, I was working at DDI, Developmental Disabilities Institute, and also I was working for the state office with people with developmental disabilities.
Okay.
And then I was still doing reserve unit. I got my, at that time they gave you a conditional promotion, so I was a sergeant. And I was supposed to go, at that time, to pre-PLDC in Fort Dix, New Jersey. So I had to go for my PT test before I went to Fort Dix during that weekend. And I went actually on 9/11 to do my PT test because they wanted to see you pass your physical test, because when you go to Fort Dix, when you take it, if you fail, they send you right back.
Sure.
So they wanted to make sure that I passed it, which I did pass it. And I was about to go home that day, and I changed and everything.
And they had the PLDC school down there?
In Fort Dix, New Jersey.
Okay.
And I was supposed to go that weekend, but that same day during 9/11, I did my PT test. I came in early. It was my reserve unit was the MP company right by Hofstra.
Sure. Was that Oak Street?
Oak Street, yeah. And I passed it. I did everything, and I was changing and everything, getting ready to go home. And then 9/11 occurred. And then they told me to stay. And I had to call reservists to come in. Everything was kind of like a standstill. They didn't want me to leave right away.
Sure. Nobody knew what was going on.
Yeah.
Right.
That was a big change of the world. We found out through the radio.
What were your first thoughts when 9/11 hit?
I was like, oh my gosh, we heard, they told us, and after that we put the radio on, and then they had the computer. They had computers, internet, but not how it is advanced now.
Did you have any friends that you lost from 9/11, or?
No, I know people who've lost people. Actually, I know someone. He's an actual.
Because your community, Brentwood, Bayshore, those are huge areas.
Yeah. We had. I mean, I'm sure there's people that have. I don't know anyone. I know one person who has survived it through 9/11 through Team Rubicon, and I know another veteran through Team Red, White, and Blue. He went to West Point. He lost his brother on 9/11 because he worked in one of the towers. He told us, and he shared it in the public, that he was actually at West Point when 9/11 happened, and when he found out that his brother was in the World Trade Center, he left West Point, to come, like any sibling would do.
Sure. It's just a very, very tough time period, right. And you're looking at now. Was it almost how many years now? 25 years, and it's something that just still. It hits a lot of Americans, but I think it hits us here in the tri-state area.
Right next door,
yes,
right in the backyard.
Right there, southern New York State, northern Jersey, parts of Connecticut. And, we got hit hard. Long Island's a suburban area, and you have a lot of people that are tied to city jobs, people going there every day. People from your community in terms of Brentwood and Bayshore jumping on.
Right.
Sunrise Highway or Southern State to go west, and it was tough. I think this 25th anniversary, it's never a good anniversary because of the almost 3,000 people that were killed, right. But it's good for the younger generations to kind of know that this did happen and this is still here, and you still have people that are tied, you know, to 9/11 itself. Heck, where we are here at the studio, you know, you could have seen the smoke from Glen Cove, you know, from the city itself. It was certainly a bad situation, but Americans, you know, came together.
Right.
You know,
After that happened, it has, as always, they always say, like, a tragedy has to happen, occur in order to bring change.
Sure.
People together.
All right, so we're going to come back with Donna for a second episode here on the Fog of War and Humanity on HMTV. Please join us to speak with her about her military time in the Army during the War on Terror.